Preston of Resource Maven. We're here at the Metals Investor Forum in Toronto in March, and I'm joined by Scott Close of EMX Royalty. Thanks for coming back again.
Thank you for having me.
So EMX obviously had a transformative 2018 because of the big Malmesh deal, the big sale of the asset in the far east of Russia that put just a little bit of money in the bank account.
It did, yeah. So the results of that transaction brought us $69.15 million US.
US, yeah.
Or about roughly $90 million Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's clearly a very healthy treasury. And I'm sure the most common question that you get asked these days is, what's EMX going to do with this money? And I have lots of ideas. What answer do you give when people ask that question?
Well, I suspect it will look for a royalty or royalties to acquire that would provide us with sustainable cash flow into the future, or a purchasing or acquiring a company or companies that would have royalty assets in there, or that they provide us with another strategic opportunity like Malmesh did, another strategic acquisition like that. Some company that had a project or projects that are grossly undervalued and unrecognized in the market that we think represents significant potential.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, that is what you just described is what EMX has always done.
That's right.
Now you just have this massive bank account with which to fund it, which is really exciting.
That's right.
Yeah. And when I talk about this big bank account, I think it's also important to note that you're not chipping away at that through just the regular day-to-day operations of what EMX does, because EMX has been in business for long enough and has such an established royalty portfolio already, and between royalties and project payments, you've got enough cash coming in to do the work that you do almost on a self-funded basis.
That's right. So we get cash coming in from production royalties, advance royalties, advance royalty payments. So long before a project goes into production, we may be capturing cash flow from that. And like you mentioned, we get property payments, so we get annual property payments.
Yeah.
When somebody signs a property agreement with us, we get a cash payment there. There's also milestone payments, so when a company comes to a pre-feasibility study, that would be an example of a milestone that might set off a payment. They initiate production, they may trigger a payment also, and things like that. And then a lot of the properties, we manage the exploration for our partners, and we garner a 10% management fee for that. So we're getting cash payments from a lot of different directions, and so that helps, of course, sustain our business model.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things that I really love about EMX is that it's a non-dilutive situation. You don't have to raise money really because you've got all this cash coming in. And the reason that you've got so much cash coming in is because you sign a lot of deals. You do a lot of work.
Right.
So, I mean, last year was perhaps record-breaking for the number of deals that you did?
Yeah, so in 2018, we penned 16 different property deals. And so a lot of people say they're prospect generators, but where the rubber meets the road is, you know, actually partnering those deals, right?
Yeah.
We do deals and we do them in spades.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we do those deals, we're also getting share payments in those companies.
Sure,
right? So it's not just the shares, but it's what happens with those shares in the future. So a great example of this would be with Boreal, who has a number of our projects in Sweden, and they're drilling the Gumsberg project right now. And they've come up with some very favorable drilling results there. And they've raised a lot of money here just recently, and they're going to be doing a lot more drilling. And if they can flesh out a discovery there, then we're going to see a dramatic increase in the share value of those Boreal shares, and that would be reflected in our treasury also.
I mean, that's EMX is finding all the different ways that you can create value. So you had Gumsberg in the portfolio, you wanted to be able to advance it farther, but EMX doesn't do its own exploration. That's not part of the business model. So spin it out into Boreal, keep leverage, keep exposure to that asset through ownership in the company. But then also all these other property deals, buying royalties, the whole portfolio comes together. You guys are basically geologist entrepreneurs busy all over the world.
That's right.
Yeah. So what do I look forward to in 2019? What's got you excited about EMX in 2019?
Well, we continue to load the pipeline of properties, available properties for partners, because as we've seen an increase in the metals prices, and of course our wheelhouse is really gold and copper, but we're also engaged in polymetallic opportunities out there. We've seen more and more demand for exploration properties. And we've been loading that pipeline not only in Scandinavia, but also in the western U.S., specifically in Arizona and in Nevada.
Right.
So look for us to sign more and more property deals this year.
Just for a change.
Just for a change. So we may even break last year's record of 16 properties. So we'll see what happens.
And we'll see if we get one of these transformative, I say transformative, EMX is a royalty company. Royalty companies get a particular premium in the market, relative. And I would say there's a tiering perhaps of royalty companies. There's the big guys who get really nice premiums, and EMX with this bank account has the potential to perhaps add in the kind of scale of royalty that would potentially lead to a re-rating, bring you up with the big boys. Yeah.
Yep, we look forward to that.
Yeah, exciting. Well, thanks very much for coming in, and we'll keep up.
Thank you for having me again. Okay, good to see you. Thank you.